And second, I say you that it contains septas, which is dividing this fatty tissue into the pockets. Now look in these septas, please. You can see that they originated from this layer. This is third layer in our region. Look, skin, fat, and something under the fat. It has brown color here. What is it? Little after I will tell you the name. It is Galea aponeurotica. Otherwise, we call it aponeurosis epicranialis. What is the aponeurosis epicranialis? By your face, I see that first time in your life you listen about this structure, and now I must to be confused because 3 semesters you studied systemic anatomy, and you must to know all our impressional muscles. Muscles which show emotions in our face. And one from these impressional muscles we call fronto occipital muscle. It makes the wrinkles in your forehead region. It has 2 bellies. One is located in frontal part, second located in your occipital. And these 2 bellies connected to each other by aponeurosis, which is called aponeurosis epicranialis or Galea aponeurotica. Exactly this aponeurosis, as you can see in the picture, give the septas, which is passed through the fat, and finally which is fused with the skin. Now I answer in the question why skin is thick, elastic, and unmovable. Because septas, which is originated from aponeurosis, come to its inner surface, fuse with this inner surface, make it thicker, make it not elastic, and make it unmovable. By your face, I see half of you is sleep, guys. Sleep. Now sleep. Now sleep, guys. You will be awake during my exams. I promise it for you. I promise it for you. This is I promise for you. If somebody don't understand why these septas make the skin unmovable, I can make the simple modulation for you. If I will fix now Hamza and say, Hamza, stand up and walk, it will be impossible because he will be fixated. That's why skin cannot be movable and elastic because septas, which is come from inside, fix it. And they make the movement of skin impossible. Let's remember once again, we understand that fat is great developed, we understand that fat is elastic, fat is thick, and we understand that it divided into the septas. Very well. What else I can say about fat? Now look at the picture. You see some rings inside of the fat. Blue and red. Red is not drawn, only blue you can see, but believe me, if I say you, there aren't blue rings and there aren't red rings. What is blue and red?
Cerebrospinal fluid.
And arteries. Veins and arteries. They said, we come to conclusion that in fatty tissue we have huge amount of arteries and huge amount of veins. Now compare please this fat with that fat. No any rings you don't see here. All the rings located in upper one. That's why, my friends, remember please what I will say you. All big arteries and part of big veins of this region, look, for arteries I say all. For veins I say part, located in subcutaneous fat. You can now ask me, if you will be clever, you should ask me at once, sir, why it is happen? Why big arteries? Our creator, I don't know, nature, comparable with your believing, why it is inserted into the fat? Because naturally it is bad. Fat is very superficial. If inside of fat we will have big vessels, they can be simply damaged with formation of profuse bleeding. But guys, don't be so sure in your knowledge. Believe me, in our body everything is very clever. And everything has great logical explanation. Look in the picture. Why these big arteries and veins located in fatty tissue? Because no any another space for them. All another soft tissues, I say, is not developed here. We don't have enough place. Day before, then I speak with you about first my lesson, I told you that between the layers, usually we have deep vessels, big vessels, and not inside of something, but between. Because between we have free space. Fat, it is free space, which is filled by the fatty adipocytes, which is contain vessels and nerves. Let's say, what is the best developed fat? Subcutaneous fat. Only subcutaneous fat have enough space to contain big vessels and nerves. And you can ask me, okay, but why our creator doesn't create it bigger and other fats to insert? Because it's not necessary. Skin is so thick in this region that it makes good protection for these structures which is located in subcutaneous fat tissue. That's why I say your skin is very thick, to make protection for these structures. Let's say, remember please, once again I tell you, in subcutaneous fat tissue we have all big arteries of region and part of big veins. But look in the picture. What can you see here, guys? These rings located between septas, and septas fused with the walls of this ring. Is it visible for you or not? That is great, important structural specificity. It has good sides and, unfortunately, bad sides. Let's start from good sides. For what it is necessary, for good supplement of the region. If you will now press, for example, by your wearings, yeah, you will put, for example, helmet. It will press your head. If these vessels will not be fixed, they will be pressed and closed, and supplement of the region will stand impossible. But in the same time, it has some disadvantages. If these arteries will be cutted or veins, vasoconstriction will be impossible. He cannot be constricted if from one side he will connect it with me, from another side with you. Constriction will be impossible. But constriction, it is first mechanism, physiological mechanism to arrest the bleedings. In this region, vasoconstriction is impossible because vessel fused with the septas. It cannot be constricted. Let's say, remember forever, in fronto parieto occipital region, we have profuse bleedings, especially arterial. We can have mortal bleedings from this region. Remember it, please. And let's continue. Layer number 3 in our region, about fat and vessels, nerves, I will speak after, and I will describe for you holotopy, syntopy, skeletotopy. Now let's go deeper, and let's come to the layer number 3.
Periosteum.
Galea aponeurotica, or aponeurosis epicranialis. As I say you, in this picture you can see it is greatly visible. This is your fronto-occipital muscle, two bellies, and you can see white portion, which is connecting frontal and occipital bellies to each other, and which, like helmet, cover all this region, and which is called Galea aponeurotica, or aponeurosis epicranialis. This is layer number 3, skin, fat, Galea aponeurotica. Now look to my fingers. As my fingers, it has 2 layers, superficial and deep. And what is important? Superficial layer gives the septas, which I described several minutes before. Septas, which is passed through the fat, which is reached the skin, and which is fused with the skin. In the fat, they fuse also with the wall of the vessels. We said it 2 minutes before. Now look, guys, as the tissue which you use to cover your head, this superficial layer continues to down, and it's covered whole human body, and it forms superficial fascia of human body. Remember this. Now you understand how superficial fascia of human body is developed from superficial layer of Galea aponeurotica. It will come up to your toes on the lower extremity, and it will cover all our body. Idea is understandable for you. What about deep layer? Listen me attentively. Deep layer will reach all borders of fronto-parieto occipital region. You know, supraorbital margin, superior temporal line, nuchal line, and will be fused with these bone borders very firmly, except supraorbital margin. Here the connection will be loose. But what after? After fixation to these bone borders, it will also continues to down, and it will form proper fascia of human body. Now you see one of the most important questions in anatomy at all. You see formation of main two facets of the human body. Superficial one from superficial layer of Galea aponeurotica, deep one from deep. And why deep one, you can ask me, attached to the bones? Because proper fascia must be fused with the bones to cover the muscles. Superficial fascia doesn't cover the muscles. It is divided fat into the layers. Is it understandable for you? They say, you, friend, what about you right now? Don't do it, I say, it is given, listen me. Let's say, remember, please, once again I tell you, Galea aponeurotica has two layers. Superficial, without attachment to the bones, continue to down and form superficial fascia. Deep one, fused with the borders of region, continues down and forms deep or proper fascia. Little after, you will see that it has big importance for the passage of the clinical processes, pathological processes. I will say about it. But now let's continue. Again, look to the previous picture. And look what is located under the Galea aponeurotica. Again, fat. This fat we call subaponeurotical fat. If it is subcutaneous fat, this is subaponeurotical fat. It is thrice worst developed, comparable with fatty tissues, not thick. No any septas. No any vessels, no any nerves, nothing. It is empty. Remember about it, please. How it will be bordered? It will be bordered, guys, by deep layer of Galea aponeurotica, which is fused with bone borders of our region. I am Galea aponeurotica. Fat is located under of me. I come to the borders of the region and connect it with them. That's why fat will reach the borders of the region. But exception is supraorbital margin. I say your deep layer doesn't firmly fuse here. And after you will see practical meaning of this. Let's continue. Layer number 5, periosteum. The slim membrane which is covered the scalp bones. Periosteum, guys, in the fornix, fused not to all surface of the bones, but only to bone sutures. Do you understand what is the bone sutures? It is borders of the bones. Let's say, for example, in base of skull, periosteum fused with all bone surface. In fornix, no. It is fused only with sutures. Which sutures were here? Sagittal suture, second one, coronal suture, lambdoid suture. That's all these sutures will be place of attachment of periosteum. And what if, for example, this is bone, I am periosteum. I fuse not to all bone, but only to borders of it. Let's say between me and between bone, space will be formed. Yes or no? You can find it here. Look to this space, again fat, which is called subperiosteal fat. This is now third fat of our region. Subcutaneous, subaponeurotical, and subperiosteal. Again, no any septa, no any vessels and nerves, and it is very thin. Even it is thinner than second one. You can ask me now how much it can be spread up to the borders of each bone. Let's say here you will have 4 subperiosteal spaces, 1 in level of frontal bone, 2 in the level right of left parietal bones, and 1 on the level of occipital. You can see me why. Again, I tell you, periosteum fused with the bone borders. Let's say if inside of one from these 4 regions will be pathological process, it cannot be spread to another. Because periosteum joined the borders of the bone and will close these passageways. Idea is understandable for you. Very well, let's continue. Now we come to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th one, subperiosteal fat, yeah? Now look here, before I will continue, I think you listen in your life the term scalp.
Yes.
Scalp. Do you listen it?
Yes.
Where you listen this term scalp?
Yes, Scalp.
Where you listen
In the anatomy.
in the anatomy? Because of what you listen about scalp? If you
Because
don't
we was studying muscle.
Oh, muscle. I see you and your teacher of anatomy is very prominent. You
Muscle of the scalp, she said.
speak about scalp muscles. Now look here, please. Where you can listen. First of all, today it's very seldom, but if you read the books, especially historical books, especially about, for example, history of United States, you will find the information that native nations who is living these countries, that they kill the enemies, they cut the scalp from head region to show that they make this work, yeah? Scalp. And this scalp, it is just abbreviation of the layers in fronto, parieto, occipital region. Look. C, skin, K, connective tissue, A, aponeurotica, yeah? Aponeurotica. P, periosteum, skull, L, loose connective tissue, P, periosteum, loose connective tissue, it is subaponeurotica. That's it. This is just abbreviation of first 5 layers: skin, connective tissue, aponeurosis, subaponeurotica, loose connective tissue, periosteum. These 5 layers together we call scalp. But now look to me. First 3 layers of this scalp we call proper scalp or real scalp. Why? Because then they remove the skin from killed animals. They remove really these 3 layers: skin, connective tissue, and aponeurosis. You can say, and what? Why it is now important? Now it is important from one point of view. Look, in your clinical practice, you will see 2 types of the wounds in fronto, parieto, occipital region. One will be very slim, narrow, and margins will not be far disconnected to each other. Beautiful. I will show after the pictures. In my next lesson, I have these pictures. Second type of the wounds will be ugly, huge, with the dislocated margins from each other. Now tell me, Hamza, in your opinion, in case of first slim wound, how many layers is damaged?
3.
Starting from skin.
The skin, subcutaneous, 3 layers.
Very bad answer. If we have slim wound, it means only skin and fat is damaged. Why? Now imagine, I am skin, he is fat, and she is aponeurosis. What she make now? She raise your hands, pass through you, and touch to me. That is the septus, which is originated from aponeurosis. If only I and you will be cutting, we cannot so far open because she fixes us. She fixes us. She fixes these margins. She doesn't give for these margins the chance to be disconnected because we connected with her by the septa. But if she also will be cut
3 layers.
together with us, we will not have any fixation and we will widely will be open. Such kind of the wounds we call scalping wound. Remember this term. Scalping wound, it means these 3 layers, or maybe in others. That is not interesting now for us. But surely these 3 layers is damaged. That's why the margins of the wound is so dislocated from each other. Because I am skin, whose connection with you? Aponeurosis. Because you are also damaged. And unfortunately, in case of the scalping wounds, this is theoretically and practically impossible to just connect it, the margins, using the suturings. And we make usually plastical reconstructions. Because skin is not elastic and non-movable. Even if by big force you will try to connect it, this margin, just hair will cut the wound and goes to outside. Let's say, remember, please, remember this classification. Not scalping wounds,